All right. Hey girls, how y'all doing?
Hi,
Hi,
how are
hi, Mikara. Hi, Katrina. Katarina.
Yes,
How are you
hi.
how are you guys doing?
I'm doing great. It's really early here in the morning, so starting the day productive. That's good.
Yes, you are
And
on
it's
the West
evening
Coast.
here,
Yes, and I'm in the middle of the day.
and we're in
Yeah.
the middle, and we have all time zones represented here.
Yes, because I was like, man, what would be a good time to to coordinate this? I said, let me just do
Right?
11. Because anything earlier, I don't know, my body is like, it just wakes up slow. I don't know what it is. It's like my body needs to warm up, or my thinking is just not there in the morning. Like if I have to go to a meeting, I hope I'm not talking because my brain is just, I don't know, it just doesn't wake up until like after 11. I don't know what it is. I'm a night owl. I can stay up
Okay.
late, but morning, I'm not the best. If you want me to make a decision, no ma'am. Don't
Right, right.
don't contact me.
Are you a
Yeah.
coffee drinker?
I am not. I drink tea. I drink a
No.
lot of
Okay.
tea.
Yeah. A lot of
I,
tea. That's
I,
good.
I was wondering, look, I ordered our coffees yet, so I have it already ready.
Yeah, I don't know. Coffee doesn't sit well with my stomach. I don't know what it is, but I drink like a lot of tea. I go in a Korean store, I go in the Arabic store. Like I try different types of teas, but coffee, I don't know. It just does
I
not
love
sit
that.
well with my stomach. So no, I'm not a coffee drinker, but I drink a lot of
Yeah.
tea.
For me too. I actually just 2 days ago had a bit of an incident with coffee where I thought, because every so often I went out with some girlfriends. I thought, oh, they're all drinking coffee. I
Mhm.
love the idea of coffee. I really do. It feels
Yeah,
so grown up to me. Everybody talks such grown up subjects. So
right.
we went out. I had two coffees, two cappuccinos, not actual even real coffee. And I was taking the train home and I almost had to get off the train. I was so sick, and
Oh,
it's
wow.
just a little bit of dizziness, a lot of like nausea. So, so I tested it. It didn't work out so well.
You
So I'm
know,
the same way.
we started talking about coffee because the other day, just thinking about it, oh, well, because I can eat. Do you hear echo or not?
No. Do you hear
Oh,
echo?
yeah, I do. But if you then that's fine. I was thinking was you know, like studying, and there is a neuro who thinks coffee mostly.
Okay.
All right, Katarina's back.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I was talking about the coffee, on the remark of coffee, and according to a marketer, he says coffee represents to most people family and like union. And then I was thinking, okay, I'm in Las Vegas all by my own, drinking the coffee.
Hmm.
So how does it like what does it really represent to me? Because he says people don't really buy the coffee, they buy the moment or the emotions associated with it.
Hmm.
So when I was thinking, and I'm like, yeah, my first memories are truly like at my grandparents' house when both of them, like when they were still alive, drinking their coffee, and then the family came together. So it really represents that like union and a feeling of like warmness and family,
Yeah.
even though now it might have like now I might perceive it differently because I'm drinking the coffee by myself, but still it goes back on some level, probably
Hmm.
subconscious already there.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to think. I don't even. My parents don't really drink coffee. Now that I'm thinking about it, my mother just started drinking coffee maybe like 10 years ago. But yeah, I don't have any child. Yeah, I'm just thinking back. Like I don't think my family drunk coffee.
Leon, no, no.
So that may be
Yeah.
true that it's like tied to an emotion. But yeah, my parents don't drink coffee. I'm trying to think about my
Turn it off.
grandmother.
Turn it off.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Yeah, that may be
Yeah.
true. I don't, yeah, my family doesn't really drink coffee. I don't, yeah, I'm just thinking back as you were talking. I don't think, yeah, I don't know.
What about tea? Do you have
I
such
drank a
memories?
lot of, I had to drink tea because I was an athlete and they told us, I don't even remember what the heck it was. it was just like health benefits. But drinking tea, I had to drink a lot of it as an athlete.
Okay.
Oh,
And
cool.
Kim, what about you?
Well, I was just telling Mikara in the break that so I grew up also no family drinking coffee. My parents didn't. And I didn't start until my early 30s. And my ex-husband and I kind of started together. Um, and then I really enjoyed it. And really for 10 years, I really enjoyed it. And then I started getting sick, kind of what happened on the train that I was explaining that happened to me on the train a couple of days ago. And so I went, I had some other medical things, and my doctor had said that for me, he didn't say it was an in general, like sort of thing, but he said for me, it could be hormonal changes because I was going through premenopause at the time, after my third child, and it was a little bit hormonal. So it could be that's why I was suddenly having such a severe reaction. But I will say, I always remember even early on when I would go to other people's houses, Katarina, kind of what you were talking about, it really triggers this warm part of childhood that that these families, my family wasn't like this, so I would go to other people's families. They would have coffee, they would sit around and they would laugh. So there could be something to that. And consciously, of course, my early 30s, we weren't necessarily thinking of this, but it's funny you mentioned that. And of course, triggers from childhood, who knows, the memory maybe isn't so clear, but the warmth of it or the feeling it evokes, it's like, huh, I'll have to remember that. Yeah. So that's my coffee journey so far. We'll see. Maybe my hormones will change again, or, I'm on hormone therapy now. So maybe that'll keep me from going over the edge and I'll be back on the coffee train before you know it. Before you know it.
Yeah.
Oh man. Anything new with you ladies?
I'm thinking. Yeah, like when yeah, it's been a while since we talked. Um yeah, my son started to go to school full time. I think he still hasn't been going when we first spoke.
Hmm.
So that's new. That gave me a little bit of space for breathing,
Yeah.
And yeah, he just turned 3 in January, so
Okay.
um,
Oh,
yeah, so it's
congratulations.
like preschool, not really like school, but preschool.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I like it. He's not so happy about it just yet,
I wouldn't
but
be either.
he's making new friends. That's good. He's learning social skills, so that's important.
Yeah.
So
And
that's the
Yeah.
biggest change, and then work mostly. And also I've started reading different books because I read like constantly, or if I don't read, then I listen to audiobooks. And normally I would read like at most one book at a time or two books at a time at most, but now I have like three books at a time.
really.
um, yeah, so because they say that in the morning you should do something, to read something that stimulates your brain, and then before bed it's more like relax or
Yes.
sci-fi. I don't really read sci-fi because or romances. I read something that feeds my brain. I don't know
Hmm.
if it's something that I like. But yeah, I try like lighter reading to leave for at night. And so one of the books is I'm rereading it actually, The Four Agreements from Mikala Ruiz. I don't know if you've
I've
heard
read
about
that,
it.
yeah.
Then the other book that I'm reading, which is like the nerdier stuff for my work, that's 23 Laws of Persuasion.
Okay.
And then the third book that I'm actually listening to is The Atomic Habits. So have you
Okay.
read any of those?
Oh,
I've read the first one, but not the other two.
Okay. Yeah. So the first one I love, like
Hmm.
I actually started not reading it, but going to the theater, because in Slovakia we had back then there was a guy coming from Czech Republic and he would present it in such a funny way, but yet I could relate so much, and he would give like real life examples. And I went to his show like 5 times. Every year he came, I would
Yeah.
go because it always gave me so much. And then I read the book and I was kind of disappointed a little bit. Like I was like, I mean, it's great. It's a great book. but it wasn't as funny as he presented. And also maybe the language, because that was in Czech and now I'm reading it in English. So maybe, I don't know, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's still a great book. It has changed my life, like for
Yeah.
sure, definitely.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Anything new for you, Kim?
Gosh, I mean, after Katarina's library, I'm, so I just a quick sidebar. I have heard of Atomic Habits. I haven't read it, but a girlfriend of mine, I was telling Mikara our last chat that I started this women's group here in Germany, and one of the women we were talking about kind of where we want to go with the group for the new year, and she was kind of quoting from this book, Atomic Habits, and she's Turkish, and she grew up in Turkey, and she's reading the book. I think she said in Turkish, and she was talking about, yeah, some of the translations are a little bit a little bit
Different.
funny. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
so you don't actually get everything, but she said it's still a great book. So anyway, it's funny that you mentioned that. Tomorrow I leave for Italy. So I'll be going
Ooh.
to Sutral for about a week. And this part of Italy I've never visited before, so I'm looking forward to it. And I was actually thinking, Makara, the last time when we chatted, and you said, "Oh, I really, want to come over to Europe sometime," and that type of thing.
Mhm.
And I was actually thinking, because I haven't been to this part of Italy. I've been to other parts, not this part in Sutral. And so there's it's an interesting part only because it's more the German part of Sutral, of Italy. It's not it's not the Italian part. I know that sounds maybe a little strange, but you know how with borders of even of borders in the US, right?
Mhm.
There's like there's like you cross over the border and it's still kind of Massachusetts, even though you're in Connecticut. But then you go deeper into Connecticut and then it becomes Connecticut. This is the same kind of concept. So I will say that I am looking forward to it, but it isn't exactly, to me, having been in like a more southern part of Italy, exactly to me, exactly the Italian feel. But I am looking forward to it, just to see the more German part of Italy, which I've never seen, and it happens to be one of my favorite hobbies, which is a very wine country because I love wine.
Okay.
I'm known for being the wine lady. you know how in in each group of women or women and men or whatever, in high school, Makara, we had this, maybe I don't know in Slovakia, Katerina, if you had this, but you were like voted most likely, or
Yes.
voted most likely to succeed, or voted most likely to be funny. Well, in my group, I'm like voted most likely to drink the most wine. so
That's so
so that's
funny.
my so that's my reputation. And I always say I don't discriminate. I like all wines, because people are always asked, "Oh, do you prefer red wine, white wine, or rosé?" And I'm like, "Oh, girlfriend, I don't discriminate. I like them all equally." So anyway, point is this part
And
of
sweet or
Sutral
dry?
is, what's that?
Sweet or dry wine?
Now, there I will differentiate. I do prefer a dry wine, but when I started on my wine journey many, many years ago, I did drink more sweet, and then just gradually kind of transferred or
I
evolved, maybe. I don't know what the word is.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
So
feel like
that's
it's
that's
almost like
tomorrow.
I feel like it's almost like a transition of most people, that they start out with sweeter, and it was my case too. And
Mhm.
Yeah.
then they will transition to dry, which is like the real wine, quote unquote.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's
Pretty,
true.
pretty,
So
pretty
that's
amazing.
tomorrow. Yeah. and then I'm looking forward. This is a little bit, I don't know, Makara, if this is exactly what you mean, but I am starting to prepare because I'll be back in the US. My
Okay.
my daughter, my middle child, is graduating high school,
Oh,
so I'll come
congrats to
back.
her.
I'll help her
Congratulations.
prepare, help her get ready, do some shopping. And so I'll be back for just under 2 months. I'll be back, and and everything. So, and then I'll hopefully be able to see my older son who registered for the military.
Hmm.
So by that time, we'll know where he's at for boot camp and stuff. So I'm really looking forward.
It
Yeah.
should be so exciting. Congrats to your daughter graduating.
Yeah.
Oh
I
man, the
know. She's
world is her oyster.
oh, I know.
Oh man,
So
that should be exciting. So you
so
got a
starting,
handful.
yeah.
I love Italy.
Starting to
It's one of
think.
my favorite countries.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I love Italy too. I really love it. I love the people there.
Hmm.
The
Um,
people, the nature, the food, the
yeah.
drinks.
Oh my God, the food. The food, yes.
Yeah.
Makara, you
Have
this
you ever
is
been to Italy,
this is
I
Mikara?
have not been to Italy.
Oh,
I've
you're
been
missing
but
out.
she's coming.
invited. Yeah, I've been
But
invited, but
she's
I don't
coming.
know. I have not been there. Yeah, I have not been there yet. So one day,
Yeah,
one of
that's
these days,
right.
one of these
I
days, it's
always
definitely on my list.
I always love the word yet. Yet is
Yet,
yeah, that's perfect. That's
yet,
perfect.
because I am all about traveling. I don't want to do any more United States travel. I have lived in enough places.
Yeah.
So how's your book
Liz,
going, Mikara? What's new for you? Your book is moving forward, I guess.
Oh my God, yeah, I'm in design phase.
Ooh, your favorite
ooh.
part.
Oh, with the book designers, I said you guys are in for a rude awakening for this project. So yes, we're in design phase. Oh boy. And I've also just been planning out the marketing part. So reaching out to Goodreads to see like what type of packages that they have. I also reached out to another marketing agency to see like how they market their books and stuff like that. What is the process of submitting my book to New York Times bestseller? I just been
Mhm.
looking through all that stuff. So yeah, that's gonna be very interesting. What is new for me? I'm trying to decide what I want to do for my birthday.
When is it coming up?
It's at
Ooh.
the end of April. So I'm just like, I don't even know what to do because I'm going to be alone because all of my friends have kids and they can't just like get up and go. And here we are in March. Like it's a month, it's like 3 weeks until my birthday. And I'm just like, this is too last minute for them. Yeah, I don't know where to go
Yeah.
for like a nice quick little getaway because all the quick getaways I've already went to. Um,
Yeah.
That's a good problem to have. A good
Yeah.
situation, yeah.
Yeah, I've already been to like all the quick getaways. I don't, the only reason why I don't want to go somewhere too far because I don't want to fall out of the rhythm with my book
Yeah.
design because we meet
Yeah.
every week. So yeah, I
New
don't that
Orleans?
I've been there so many times.
Where?
So many times.
New
New
Orleans.
Oh,
Orleans.
New
It's
Orleans.
one of my favorite cities. So I always pop it
Yes,
up
for
if someone asks.
food. And I
Yeah, I
might
I
had
go
love
been
it.
to
there
New
in
Orleans.
July as well.
Okay.
So yeah,
Hmm.
what else is new? I've had a couple of designers ask me to be like their coach for their business, like planning their like building their business and stuff like that. So like that
Oh,
and
great.
I just been relaxing because I know I kind of drove myself crazy writing this book like hardcore last year, right? I just been kind of just relaxing, taking myself out. We're back outside, so I am definitely outside. And I felt like I was like, I don't even know how to make friends anymore. I know I look for a book on like relationship building. That's gonna be like my
Hmm.
next read. But yeah, I don't feel like I don't want to say I don't know how to make I don't know how to make friends, but like the relationship building, like the bond. I don't know if it's me or if it's society because they're so attached to the phone. Like I hate social media. I don't want to follow you. I hate texting. I just, I don't know. I just really like a human interaction. I don't want to talk to you through the phone. Like I have enough people I have to talk to through the phone. Like I don't want you to be added to the list. I don't know if that sounds harsh to some people, but yeah, I don't know. That's just how my lifestyle is. I'd rather us like meet up once a month or once every other month instead of
Yeah.
just this whole social media or I don't want to do that.
I circle back that now to the book, to the four agreements. Like if you don't take it personally, then it doesn't sound harsh. But yeah, for some people it may
So
sound harsh, especially when they take it personally.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's where I'm at on my life right now. I'm just but
Yeah.
at this very moment, I'm just like, man, what do I want to do for my birthday? Like, what am I gonna do? I don't know where to go. I don't want to fall out of rhythm with my book. But yeah, my birthday falls on a Thursday. I'm just like, I don't even know where to go. I've been to many places. I've been to all the quick little spots.
Quick. Yeah.
This year, it's actually, it's been after many, many years that I celebrated my birthday, but I celebrated it for like almost a month.
Yes.
Yeah, because maybe it's a cultural thing, I don't know. But then,
Yeah.
like after my 18th birthday, which
Hmm.
in Europe, it's 18, it's not 21, the big one. And I never really celebrated it again. And
Hmm.
now, this was my 32nd birthday,
Hmm.
and I did celebrate it. And so I went out with my girlfriends. Then we went for dinner with other friends. My mom was here still, so she could like take care of my son,
Hmm.
and I could just really relax. It was nice. And then I celebrated it with myself.
Hmm.
So I did like the hot tub. I did sauna, like relax. I relaxed.
Hmm.
That was like, I don't get to relax that much with a 3-year-old around all the time. So that was amazing. That was a great gift to myself. And yeah, I mean, celebration. What does the celebration mean to you? Because some people think, oh, celebration, that must be party, and like, it to
I've
me,
already been there,
celebration is
done that. Yeah,
feel
it's like
good and
it's like I've already been there, done that. Traveling.
yeah.
Yeah, the traveling, the nice ambiance and food is my type of
Mm,
celebration. Yeah, and I can't, like I said, my friends can't just get up and go. They need like a
yeah.
3 month advance at least. And it's like I said, yeah, my birthday is April 27th. So yeah, no, we're like a month and 3 weeks. No, it's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. So yeah, celebration is vacation. Yeah, somewhere warm. I do not
That
like
was my
cold.
question too.
Warm.
Yeah. Warm. Okay. Beach
Warm.
warm or just warm weather? Are you a
Warm
beach
weather.
gal or
Warm
warm
weather.
weather? Okay.
So yeah, that's what my type of celebration would be ideally, and just explore. Yeah, like learning any type
Yeah.
of culture, like I'm open to that. But yeah, partying, I've done enough of that.
Yeah.
I've done enough of that. I'm surprised my liver still is functioning. I'm fine.
Yeah, I think for most people there comes a point in life
Mhm.
where you said, I've done enough of that, and whether it's for partying, whether it's for like almost for everything, I guess, but
Mhm.
mostly for partying. I've actually talked to my friends, and we agreed on the same, like, yeah, it's been there, done that. I mean, from time to time, maybe it's great, but like not anymore in the same way it used to be when we were, like high school, high school age, or even like
Also,
college.
it's just not the same. I went to a party and like everyone was just like on their phone, just and I'm just like, is this what you guys do at parties now? And they're like, yeah, and I'm just like, yeah, no, I'm leaving. I'm
Yeah.
calling my Uber. This is a waste. Yeah, no, I don't want to really go to parties because they're just on their phone, literally. They're just
Hmm.
on their phone. Even the older people, they're just on their phone. They're waiting for you to approach them. It's just a whole different just atmosphere. I no, I don't want to be bothered. I don't want
Yeah,
to be
and then it
bothered.
also depends on the crowd, but it's in general, it's like almost became a rule that everyone's on their phone or taking selfies.
Yeah,
And
even when I go take myself out on to eat, like on random days, people are like on their phone and they're like utterly shocked that I'm sitting by myself with like paper, I'm writing or I'm reading or I'm just sitting like because sometimes the TV will be on at the place and people are just like amazed. And I'm just like, I'm not consumed by my phone. Like my phone is not my life.
yeah.
I don't know.
But
So,
then that's a huge advantage also for you that you can okay, so some people are addicted to their phones, and I would say most people because of social media and this sense of validation, they need to be validated.
I
Um,
don't give two
but
rat's
some people
ass.
are like, oh, I can't stop working, like they're workaholics, which is
Oh,
almost
yeah,
me,
no.
even though I think I'm pretty good with my phone. But yeah, especially when
Yeah.
I'm with people. So
Hmm.
that's like I'm really present with the people. Yeah. And I haven't realized it until someone actually pointed it out, like, oh, I like that you're so present, you're not on your phone. And I'm like,
Hmm.
of course, that's the normal thing, you know.
Right.
I
Yeah, I
think
don't know.
too, Katarina, you're right. It's that it also depends on the crowd. For sure, we know the world now, the whole world is the way of the cell phone or the way of the instant
Hmm.
gratification in terms of, giving, receiving messages, whether it's social media, email, work, or whatever. But I also know too, just like, both of you, you come, you're present with whatever, whether it's one person or 10 people, you're present. And if you can find five other people who are like that,
Yeah.
then it really does. I just think last night we celebrated a girlfriend of mine here. She's from Romania. And I always thought it was a generational thing, but it really isn't. I mean, I'm 53. She just turned 35. And we went out with, we have 7 or 8 women. We get together all the time. They're part of this group.
Hmm.
And the whole night I was thinking, now, yes, selfies were taken,
Hmm.
they're part of that generation. I am not. In my 20s, thank God, the internet was not a thing because I lived in Chicago. I partied, I had my time. But they did do their selfies. But for the most part, I did notice that we all chatted, and it was really a really special time for us. Their partners were there as well, and so I think you're right, Katerina, that a lot of it does depend on the group, but the sweet spot, of course, is finding that group, digging
Yeah,
those gems
that
out.
is right.
So
Yeah. Yeah. It's rather have like 3 or 5 people than 20, but those 3 or even 2 people, they are right there with you, present
Hmm.
mentally and physically.
Hmm.
right.
Well, the most important mentally, even if we're online now, but
Right.
we're here, we're present, all 3 of us. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's where I'm at with my life, but I'm pretty good. I'm pretty fine. That's just my little media projects. Just where am I gonna go? That's why I ask myself this every day. Where do I feel like going? And yeah, just taking it easy. Yeah, I'm pretty good. And enjoying this project. It's so much
That's the
fun.
most important part. You have to
That's
focus on the
right.
process and enjoy the process rather
Mhm.
than, just waiting for the destination. It's
Oh yeah,
Right.
much
no.
more fun when, yeah, you enjoy the process too.
So yes, that is where I'm at in my life right now. But yeah, let's get into our nice little topic you mentioned.
Woo.
When did you start validating yourself? I think I'm gonna start with Kim
I'll
because
let
Kim is the oldest.
I was just gonna say I'll let you know when that when that comes about. Well, based on, I thought when the topic came through from you, Makara, well, first of all, I laughed. I must admit, because I thought Makara doesn't take the easy road on anything.
Mm-mm.
there's there's nothing that's gonna be what is that? Nothing's gonna slide by with Makara. It's not gonna be an easy walk.
No.
how to
I
take
tell
meals.
everyone
I'm
who
like,
wants to work with me, I hope you know I am not status quo. Okay?
that's right.
Don't expect
So,
me to walk the straight line because I'm gonna follow every
right, right.
zigzag.
There's no what is that softball throws with
No.
Mikara. She's pitching fast pitches here. I don't know baseball, so I'm only throwing these out like like I mean every guy who ever watches this will be like, what? Anyway, but um so at 53, basically what you had talked about when we talked last time, Makara, was I go through this evolution, I think every 7 or 8 years.
Hmm.
And for me, validating myself as a woman meant different things at different times in my era. I would imagine at 63, at 73, and on, 203. No, just joking. But the whole idea of validating myself definitely evolved as I evolved too. I can't say there was clearly a time where finally, click, click, finally, I'm a woman. Being a woman even evolved in terms of the definition. Obviously, in my 20s, I
Hmm.
thought I would be defined as a woman more by what other people thought. Now,
Hmm.
at the time, I thought, oh, I'm my own woman. Like,
Right.
nobody tells me, but then in retrospect, of course, I'm like, no, I dressed how people, thought I should dress and yada yada. In my 30s, I was a mom by then.
Hmm.
I had 3 kids in my 30s. So that redefined me what I thought I was as a woman. I thought being a wife, I thought being a mother defined me as a woman. And I want to be careful because I love my children dearly. And I actually loved being married too, even though I'm not married anymore. I actually really loved it. I was very lucky that I met a great guy. But the problem and it's my own fault. We talk about this in my women's group all the time. What do we allow? What do we allow? Because at the end of the day, there are different influences. Exactly. There are things that happen, whether it's life, whether it's relationships, exactly. But at the end of the day, it's our permission. What do we allow? And I allowed my 30s defining me as a woman to be absorbed in this life of being a wife and a mother and, going to soccer, doing piano lessons. And I thought that defined me as a woman. And then
Hmm.
in my 40s, I started this freelance business. And
Hmm.
again, it takes me a long time to learn things. But for me, my personality type, my weaknesses, my strengths, I realize I have to actually be careful also, excuse me, that my freelancing entrepreneurship doesn't also quote unquote define me of who I want to be as a woman. It's
Hmm.
just a role. It's a role as a 20-year-old with a career, a 30-year-old um, as a mom and a wife, and a 40-year-old is starting my own business. I realized that they were just roles, and who I wanted to be um, as a woman, as truly a woman, was maintain this idea of femininity and know that that's strong enough in itself, that
Hmm.
uh I don't have to take on the characteristics of these different roles in order to define myself as a woman. In other words, I can be kind and happy and cheerful and feminine and everything and still say clearly what I need, what I want, have certain standards, have certain expectations. And I don't need to, quote unquote, become a man in terms of, not feeling, not crying, only be, uh, so stern or so hard or
Hmm.
that type of thing. And I've realized now in my 50s, that's truly the woman I want to be. But it took me, it took me decades to figure out I have to redefine that. I have to redefine that being a woman and having roles in life are very different. And I personally need to distinguish them, or I get absorbed into these roles so much so that I think that's what womanhood is. And
Yeah.
that's for me, not what womanhood is.
Okay. Katarina.
Yes. So when I read your topic, like, what are we going to talk about? And then you send it to me over, and I'm like, yeah, I'm excited. But it made me think, like, when did I actually start it valid? Like, have I ever validated myself as a woman in the first place? And I think yes. But as Kim mentioned, it was I haven't realized it until probably I became a mom. Um, so because before in my 20s, I still saw myself as a girl, like not a woman. I mean, the gender is obviously still the same, but it's different when you perceive yourself as a girl or as a woman.
Hmm.
It's very different in terms of responsibilities, like a lot of things. So, and when I started traveling, and it was like, it's me now, it's me. But then I would still think, oh, but I'm this girl, I'm still not a woman. Even though I was grown up, I was like, uh, I think when I was 23, people started telling me like, oh, you're a woman now. And I'm like, am I? Like, I don't feel like I still feel like you know it's just a different thinking pattern how girls and women think.
Hmm.
um and then I got into a relationship where I got lost pretty much.
Yeah.
And yeah, so then after the relationship ended just recently, I had to stand up for myself and start all over, just me and my son. And even when he was born, so I started first validating myself as a mom and
Hmm.
standing up for my son and then for myself, because I said, if I don't stand up for myself, who will?
Yeah.
Nobody else. Um, well, and the same for my son, obviously, because he's just, he was just born. So, but then now that we divorced, I'm like, yeah. So now I'm not only a mom, I'm a woman too. So I can't just focus like being 100% a mom. I'm also a woman. I'm also an entrepreneur. I'm like, I'm a daughter. I'm a sister, a friend. We have all these labels and roles, like Kim mentioned.
Hmm.
And I think we just need to find the balance. Up, Leo, I'm so sorry, yeah. But
It's
today
fine.
started with not school. Uh, so we need to find a balance where I can still be a woman, and I really do want to, and I need to work on my femininity and then my feminine part, because I feel like I have such a strong character
Hmm.
that sometimes it just beats my feminine,
But
me. So yeah, I would say I definitely started validating myself as a woman that I would identify with just recently, really in my 30s, I would say. Yeah.
hmm.
What about you, Mikara?
So, when did I start validate? I think I'm starting to validate myself now as I'm approaching 35. I say this because I've been on my own for about 15 years, meaning on my own, not living underneath my parents' rules or not living with my parents. I've been out traveling, trying to find my identity. I've always been in search of something. And along that way, I found like different pieces of me at different places that I was living in. I spoke to many different people. I failed a lot. I think failing really shaped me as a woman. And
Me
it
too.
also helped me just to kind of just, plan A didn't work, plan B didn't work, plan C didn't work. So now we got to make all these other different plans and steps to get yourself back up and get out there. So now that I see how things work, what things don't work for me, I've listened to people's advices. I didn't listen to people's advices and listen to my intuition and kind of now I'm in like the groove of who I am, what feels comfortable, what feels good. All right, this doesn't feel right. Let me stop this. Let me take a break. Like I'm able to manage myself without any guidance. And so yeah, I think that's the approval, the affirmation that I kind of need. It needs to start with me. Of course, I'm human. I'm gonna like, hey, am I doing this correct? But naturally, I want to be able to feel comfortable for me to control myself on a lot of situations, and I think I've done that enough. Yeah, and I feel great now. And since now that I'm like tapping into my validation, I think when I have like a child, I'm probably not going to give two shits about anyone else's opinions, but my child's and whatever family I have around me. But I feel like I'm tapping in now in my validation because I'm just able to just kind of just manage myself, control myself. Um, yeah, and just looking back at what I was doing in my 20s, Jesus Christ.
But that's so funny because all three of us basically said that in our 30s, it was when we really actually started like being aware of
Yeah, I wrote an oath to myself. For my 30th birthday, I said, I don't want to carry any more of my 20s baggage. So I need to unlearn everything I learned or did in my 20s so I won't carry them over into my 30s. And I just made sure of that. I made sure of that.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
I like that. It can be like oath for every decade. I like that actually.
Yes, because man, oh man, the amount of money that I just blew and just stupidity, you guys didn't even want to know me in my 20s.
I think we
I'm
all
I'm
did.
I'm sure I drove my parents insane. Insane. But it's all right, I'm alive.
Yeah.
So it counts.
Alive and growing.
Yeah. Well, I got tired of just the same old results. That's what it was. It was just like different. It
Yeah.
was like a different plan, same result. Different plan,
Yeah.
same result. And I was just like, all right, I'm noticing a pattern. Like I'm getting the same ending. Why is this? It's like a reality check. Some people don't want to come to that conclusion, but I just got tired of doing that, especially when I had, at certain points, I had parents supporting me. So I didn't want to keep taking advantage of that. And then I really overexhausted my opportunity. So yeah, no, I just got tired of the same result, and I just say, yeah, no, I need to fix whatever I'm doing. I really need to reflect on whatever I'm doing and just kind of just change and not carry this stuff over to my 30s because I don't want the same results. I don't want to keep living like this. I don't know how, yeah, I just felt like I don't know how people keep living like this for their entire life.
I like to compare these things like to a plant. It's either growing or dying. There is no like
Yeah.
in between. And I think the same applies to us,
Hmm.
with people in general, not just women. But we either grow or we die, or we are dying basically inside. And even though it might seem like, oh, we're just, just surviving or just stagnating, it's in the long term, you're dying.
You're dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the drive for the life, if it's shrinking, then you've got some work to do. I think.
Yeah.
And it's easier said than done,
Of
obviously, because
course.
when you're in that spiral, it's really difficult to get out from there, but it is possible. I mean, I've been there. I can talk for myself. I don't want to talk for like for you, but I've been there, and it is possible. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot of reflection. It's a lot of homework People don't like doing homework.
Discipline,
Yeah.
I would say
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
I'm trying to think, was I journaling? I don't think so. I definitely had like periods where I stopped journaling. I wasn't really consistent journaling in my 20s, but doing homework, I would like get like one of those like workbooks, like personal development workbooks, do them, and then like will like put them away. But I wasn't like consistently practicing on them. But when I decided to write that oath to myself, then I went back to the journal, then I went back to the workbook and then like redid it all over again since I had a different mind state and started practicing on them.
Yeah, I think that's it what I hear from everyone, and I think this the same way, that the whole idea of validating ourselves as women, and I'm a strong believer that women are really, really good at this, is this idea of self-reflection. You know, you live your life, you have these different roles, whether it's partying, whether it's motherhood, whether it's, trying to write a book, and these roles kind of they dictate, your daily life and that type of thing. And what women are really, really good at in terms of oath writing, in terms of journaling, in terms of self reflection, is saying, am I truly growing, or am I stagnant, or am I dying? And what Katarina said, I agree too, that really in the end, in the whole like spectrum of life, you are either truly growing, or shrinking. And if if you aren't self-reflecting on what sort of sun you're getting, what sort of soil you're being planted in, what sort of elements are around you, then that really does affect you. And so I'm really a strong believer that women are good at self-analyzing and self-reflecting. And like what you said, Mikara, too, is that you've gotten to the point where you validate yourself, or you validate and you understand yourself, where your
Mhm.
strengths are, where your weaknesses are, and you're progressing forward from there, instead of like in your 20s where the basis was, you know, you were um, you had no real direction or no real understanding of what exactly or where exactly you needed to go. And what I love about this whole idea of growing and validating is we are excellent, in my opinion, as women, to self reflect and say, am I growing or
Mhm.
am I shrinking? And what do I need to do to change out the soil, to get some different nutrients, to, find more sun, or, or whatever. So,
Yeah. And I have just an interesting fact or statistics. I don't remember the exact numbers, so it will be like approximate numbers. But when they asked like men and women, when they compared like with how much confidence they can say like they can handle a task, if a man thought like he can do, like there is 3% chance that he can do it, he would say, yeah, I can do it. But for women, it had to be like 87%. They must be confident, at least 87% that they are able to do it, and only then they will say, yeah, I can, do it.
Do
Maybe
it.
the
Right.
percentages were like a little different, but they
Mhm.
were like around there. And my mind was like blown away, and I'm like, yeah, that's so true. Actually, when I think about the people who I interact with and myself,
Mhm.
I'm like, yeah, I like, if I say I can do it, it's because I'm almost certain that I can. It's not like, oh, I'll figure out, I'll see. No, it's my word, and it's my reputation, so I don't want to just,
Right. Ruin it.
yeah.
mhm. I think that's really true. I find that very interesting with our male counterparts. And please don't get me wrong, I love men. I think there's so many wonderful things about men. Big fan of men. So this is not to pit one gender against the other. I'm not a believer in that. However, I do find it interesting, whether it's genetics, whether it's cultural, whether it's I have no idea what you said. I've never read any such statistic, but certainly from experience, it is funny if a new idea is presented in a room with men or women. Men barely they start immediately thinking about like the engineering part, the logistics, that type of thing. And women will, the first thing they do is think, oh, can I really do this? Whereas men never have that layer or that obstacle. Well, I don't know what it is, and where it originates from. I just know it's present and it's there. I would love that, to not have that obstacle and
Right.
immediately go, okay, so we're going to build this house and it's going to have these 6 rooms. And where I'm standing over at this plot of land going, oh, I don't know if I don't know. This house project is so big, and you know, and who's going to live in it? Is anyone even going to want this house? You know, all of this that I
The
have to
detail
dig
part.
through in order to get through the fact that no, of course I can build a house. Like that's not, you know. So it's interesting you mentioned that the differences, there's advantages and different and disadvantages, but one
Mhm.
of the biggest advantages of being a man is they don't have to go through this, cut through this really hard layer of self-doubt. They can just, you know, I'm not saying that men never experience self-doubt. I think it's in other areas, but as you said, when it comes to kind of you know, the ideas or the self-growing or the are we okay in ourselves, men don't seem to have to tackle these issues or wrestle with this mindset, whereas women do. In this 80%, i have to I have to be able to sink my teeth into 80% to even say, yeah, okay, I can probably
Mhm.
accomplish that. 80%, that's a huge number.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think men are, well, I'm not a male because I know I see you little spammers over here just spamming. Men are supposed to be protectors. So I don't feel like the details of what goes on in a household or whatever, they don't need to worry about that. As females, we are like the nurturers. We are the soil of the family. So anything that the man brings back from them hunting, I'm just using that as an analogy, like we are the ones that's cleaning it, cutting it apart, cooking it. We have to worry about like the details. So our brains are just like totally wired. I know one of my clients said this phrase because I was asking him because I needed to pick his brain for my book. They are more worried about risk versus rewards. I'm only grabbing this because of what he said. Versus the females, like we will nitpick a situation down to the T. But men is like, yeah, we could do it. It's like a risk for like what's the risk of this project and what's the reward of it. They don't
mhm.
care about the details. Their
So
brain doesn't go there.
do you think the self-doubt then that we have to cut through is in the fact that we start populating all of these details and we see the details of it, and the self-doubt comes from, oh my God, how are we going to make all of this? Whereas men don't see the details. So for them, it's like, yes, project or no project.
I think the self-doubt comes because a lot of times women pride themselves on beauty or how smart they are. Like all these characteristics kind of just carry them through life. So when you kind of just breaks
Mm-hmm.
that down, that just breaks down your mental and how are you going to grow from that? Because that's what a lot of the times women are moving forward with their jobs when they're in a relationship, when it's like it's in whatever part of the relationship versus a male. When do you ever hear a conversation about a male having self-doubt? Like the conversation is about who has power, who has money, who has the most women. It's not much conversation about self-doubt. Self-doubt is kind of just glued to women and girls and not really men. If
Mm-hmm.
it's men, maybe it's like, oh, I'm having self-doubt talking to a female. I'll see that a couple of times. Not saying that it doesn't happen for them, but the conversation around male is always about dominating, who has power, who has money, no matter what country, no matter what race. I just feel like the different roles for women is polar opposite to males. Um, yeah, I just think it's just totally different.
Yeah, our brains are wired differently. And then I have another thing to
Mhm.
ask you girls. So now, like we're talking about when we started validating ourselves as a women, but in general, I think now with all these filters, and you mentioned beauty, so now with all these filters, like the faces are so perfect, and many women, it's going to be even harder to validate yourself because now you're not perfect, so you have to use all the time a filter.
Mhm.
And like it's, I think, or what do you think, is it becoming like harder to validate ourselves because of the filters, or are they a good thing? Yeah, because I think it's really interesting. And I also think that some filters, I don't use filters, but I know most people do, because it's trending.
Right.
um, but some of the filters, when I see it, like I'm like, it's not, it doesn't even look like a real face anymore. It's like literally like painted, and then yeah, the eyes are moving, but
Right.
then yeah, you know. So what's your opinion on that?
I'm gonna let Kim go because I'm in the industry where it's I can go on with the post production, the cons and the pros.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I have to admit I love them, Katarina. So
I would
I must
not
admit,
expect you
Kim
say
is
that.
I'm just starting
addicted.
to. I'm just starting to do this right. No, no, I do love them, but I will say I think it's a different sort of thing.
Hmm.
It doesn't validate me as a woman. It validates me as a person who loves all of these freaking filters. I love playing with them. I love the ones where it's the hair or the makeup, or it
My
makes you
God.
into a cartoon, or it's like cool filter, warm filter. I do love them all, and I play with them all. I have to admit, part of that
That's so funny.
is having children. Like even if we're talking just on WhatsApp or video
Hmm.
chat, we're switching filters, we're having fun. So that's the silly part of it.
Right.
In the actual part for me, because I'm online more as a
Hmm.
singer songwriter and my entrepreneur, um for me it's a resource that I don't always have to get my this. Maybe it's the lazy part of me now, Katerina. Now you're having me rethink my weak characteristics here. But to be honest, I use filters because I don't want to have to put on makeup when I
Oh
take
my
a picture
gosh.
for my new song or that type of thing. Because or there's I absolutely love, no promo here, but I absolutely love, there's an app, I won't say it so there's no promo on, it's an iPhone app, and to me it's like the perfect app because I
That daggone
literally
Facetune. Oh my
I
gosh.
never have to do my makeup. I know that sounds horrible, and I do feel like it's still me, but in terms of validating me as a woman, no, I would never say. I would rather go raw. Like the people who know me, even the people who know me online, and I do have a lot of quote unquote friends online. Some
Mhm.
I've met in person, some I haven't. Hopefully, ladies, at one point I'll get to meet you guys, but um I do try and make it so it's not completely completely doesn't look like me, where like you said, Katerina is just eyes moving.
It's
But
catfishing folks.
that's right. That's right. So yeah, I'm trying not to catfish anyone. It's not
I
that.
got catfished.
Did you?
Oh, yeah, I'll include it in my story. That's why I said I will last.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. So I'm not going to be like going like this and tear off like in Mission Impossible where I take off the mask. So I do try to make it a little bit more that it is like me. It's like Kim 2.0,
Mhm.
but I see them more as resources and not validation. But
Mhm.
it more falls under the line of the role that I play in this world, in my job, and that type of thing. As that's me as a woman, and I can't do anything without it.
Mhm.
That sort of thing. But overall, I do understand also the mentality where people go, well, that's not you. I do understand that. I think it's more of a sentiment than an actual fact. But whatever people want to need for themselves, I'm a strong believer and I support that. But for me personally, I find they're really great resources to support my lazy life. And but validation, no, I don't fall under that quote unquote yeah,
Ah,
under that where I think I feel better in
Mhm.
myself because I can use these apps to make myself more beautiful. Because I am a strong believer that beauty really is in the eye of the beholder, and there's no app that can make me beautiful to everyone. So I
Yeah.
have to be beautiful to myself and then done. So that's where I land in this. But it's a really good question. It's a really good question. And you made me think too, like, ooh, okay, yeah, yeah.
yeah. No, I think like if you like oh fun and let's experiment, and
Yeah.
just laugh around, like I mean that's great. But then I know that it can cause also a lot of like trauma that some people would be scared to actually go outside, like, oh, I don't really look like that. So now people
Mm,
will see that it's not me, then I'd rather not go out. And I
mm.
think if it gets there, then that might be a problem.
Oh boy. So as a person that works in the fashion industry, the filtering is not new to me. The post production is what they would call it. I'm used to photos being retouched, but the filters that are used, they look cheesy. I don't know because I'm on the professional side, so that's why I said it's different. I'm not on the internet for validation. I hate the internet. I'm not a people person, surprisingly. So I definitely do not seek. I don't even know when the last time I posted on Instagram. Do I ever use it? No. I don't know what they're doing with the faces of with the apps because I know I was reading one of them when they were grabbing your information. I forgot the name of it. It's slipping my mind, but it also hit the news. I don't know what they're doing with our faces. I'm not one of these little dumb girls and just sign up on everything. I want to know what they're doing with our faces with these AIs because AI is becoming a very current topic. But as far as like the filters, I mean, I don't really care what everyone else does, but I know it does affect me with my work life or when I meet you in person, I'm just like, well, who the hell are you? I've had that situation a handful of times. I know a model, she just looked at different. She looked at very different in her portfolio and on her Instagram because I asked for Instagram and when she came to the door, me and the photographer was like, who the hell is that? I was like, I don't know. Are you Zevelle? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Why do you look different here and here? Oh, I'm using a couple of filters. She used like 5 different filters. So Facetune was the first one. That's how I know that one, like from. Another one, I met someone off of Instagram and she looked at totally different. Like she even snatched in her waistline and
Wow.
yeah, like she manipulated like her body. So I'm just like, who the hell are you? Oh, you don't no. Your body's not even the same. So it's getting kind of crazy. I don't I don't even know what to say. It's just getting kind of crazy. It's getting kind of crazy. I really don't like meeting people online because they're not lying to you verbally, like they may be lying to you with these filters because I don't know what apps they're doing to change their bodies and stuff, but I'm just like, girl, this ain't you.
Right. And even I had a conversation with one of my friends, and he's a male, and
Hmm.
he said, when you're like, I don't like the dating apps because when you are on a dating app
Heard.
and then you actually see that person, like you don't recognize that person.
I heard. They're like, you look the same. And I'm like, aren't I supposed to? And they're like, no, some of the females don't. And I'm just like, feel sorry for you guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah, that
heard.
happens a lot on dating apps.
I
That
heard.
that happens a lot. I've
That's why they
only had
asked to
a
see
couple
the
times I've been on.
go ahead.
Oh, that's a funny thing that came to my mind. But actually, I remember first when I was like still my teenage age,
Mhm.
and then I was thinking like, oh, like if I had, well, actually, I was going like around my 20s, like early 20s or late,
Mhm.
teen. And then I was thinking like, oh, should I wear this like push-up bra? Because
Mhm.
then when I don't have it, it's gonna be like, oh, surprise. And I was like, oh my gosh, so do I want to be like really like, what do I want to like convey like
Right.
and
Yeah.
yeah, so but I know that I
I
had this
always
like dilemma kind of, and now it's the same but
yeah.
with the filters. So
Mhm.
I always did that too. In dating apps, I was a lot more careful than I am. I am one of those little dumb girls where it's like, oh, I don't care what they do with my face. So I'll be long gone before anything happens with that. But but I always did that. In dating apps, I did. I wore a lot less makeup than even when I would go out with girlfriends.
Mhm.
No push-up bra, and sometimes no bra, to be 100% honest. But not because I was trying to convey a message like, oh, I'm, eat granola all day. It was
Mhm.
more, I'm always a strong believer, especially in a romantic situation or even in a more serious relationship situation. I want them to see the raw side of me
Yeah.
and then be pleasantly surprised. Because I
yeah,
feel like the other way, like you said, Katrina, with the push-up bra and the slimming, those Kim Kardashian slimming trunks and all of the makeup and the hair done, then the next day they wake up with you with the fake eyelashes, whatever. They wake up with
Your
you and it's
face is
like
off, as I would say it. Your face is off.
it's it's so very, very different. And I always felt like the other way. So then if I didn't really I didn't have a lot of long-term relationships from dating apps. However, when I did, over when it was over a few months,
Mhm.
a lot of the guys would say, I mean, not a lot of guys, the guys that I did have a longer relationship, they would say, oh, I'm so glad you're actually the person who you are behind the keyboard. Because, behind the mouse and the keyboard, I could portray on these dating apps whoever I wanted to be. But the problem is if you truly, the reason you're on a dating app is you want a relationship with a real person. Eventually, if you want to get off the dating app, you have to be that real person.
yeah, and then
So
also being real scares them off early enough, not to
that's,
or
Well, good. Then you're not
make them.
worth it. Then you're not worth my time.
that's right.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
so
right.
definitely it's I mean it's
Definitely.
to me it's worth being like true and authentic and unique, and that's like to actually validate ourselves because it
Right.
is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to get worse, especially for those Catalina, you have a young child, so he may be looking at an AI girl
Oh
Yeah,
by the
God.
time
actually
he gets
he went to
older.
school the other day and he was
Huh?
like, "Oh, mommy, I played with this girl. She's pretty." And I'm like, "You're starting early, you know that? You're only 3."
Yeah, it's gonna be very scary with these filters. I know I was watching some news where they were saying like the young kids are mental, that they feel like they need to get surgery because they're so attached to these filters of their face. And I'm
Yeah.
like, this is insane.
I've heard that too, where I've heard it more with women than men, but women are literally taking, filtering their face and doing all the Facetune stuff, and then taking it to the doctor to
Yeah,
say, this is what I want to look
look
like.
like.
It's crazy. Yeah. Surgery, like that's major, something you're doing major to your body. It really is unbelievable. Yeah.
And I'm just like, do they not know that if they have a child, like their child is gonna look like their old face, not their new face?
Yeah. That's
I don't
true.
know. My mind just kind of just goes. That's why I'm just like, I'm not staying on the internet. I think these people are just don't
Then they can
think
pretend,
ahead.
who is this child? Like,
Yeah, who was it? There was a man who sued a woman. I want to say he was in Texas. He sued a woman because that was not her face. The child came ugly. I'm gonna look for
Oh
that
my
video.
God.
Really? Oh,
That's
okay.
Yes,
so
he sued the woman. She never told him that she had surgery, and the child came out ugly or something like that. He sued her and he won.
But then credits to
He
the
won.
surgeon, because if they made it so good he couldn't notice, you know. I'm like, yeah, because sometimes it's so obvious to the face, like, oh, I know they have like the lips done, the nose done, the, like, the
No, she
Botox
had her face
everywhere.
done, and that
Yeah.
child came out the old her.
The
And he
old.
said, "Who is this man?"
It reminds me of that Friends episode. I don't know if you guys watch Friends, but where Rachel and Ross have a baby together, and they say something. The baby's name is Emma, and they say something like to Ross says something to Rachel like, "Oh, do you think she'll have your old nose or something like that?" Kind of hinting that Rachel had gotten her nose done or something. That's what this conversation reminds me of. So, but yeah, I have actually, I know quite a few friends. When I say quite a few, I mean just among my smaller circle of
Yeah,
friends
here we go.
who have gotten plastic surgery, little things here and there done, but nothing to reconstruct like in a spy movie sort of thing. So
Yeah, I found it. Man sues wife. Is my thing going? I'm gonna just drop it. Cause do you guys see my Do you guys still see me?
yeah,
You're
yeah,
frozen,
I see
I
you,
guess.
but it's like
Why?
a filter,
Okay,
to
now.
be honest.
Okay, I'm gonna drop it in. Then it's not gonna let me go. But yeah, man sues woman for ugly face for $100,000. I'm gonna drop the link. It's a
And
Chinese
Wow.
man.
he won.
Uh, he won. She
Oh,
never told
He
him.
won.
They were married. That's probably one of the reasons why that he
but that's so, I mean, it's crazy.
but yeah,
This
she never
all.
told him she had surgery. When they had kids, he was just like, "Who are these kids? Who is this woman?" But
Wow.
yeah, that's how far these filters. And that was back in what, 2013. Look at that.
Okay.
Great memory. I'm like, there was a man who sued a woman for like not saying anything about her old face. So yeah, this
It's
is where we're coming.
crazy.
So it's gonna get worse down the line.
Yeah, I think so. Because, the possibilities and options to do it are getting more accessible and, cheaper and everything.
Cheaper, yes. And TikTok. Are you guys on TikTok?
I have a TikTok account,
Yeah.
but I don't use it. And I opened it, I'm obviously in the field of marketing, so I have to know about it. But yeah, I don't use it. But I know, like, many people, like, oh my gosh, you need to be on TikTok because it has the best filters ever. And
I was gonna ask, like, what are the filters like?
They
I
do.
went on there, I just see a bunch of people dancing. I'm just like, what is this? Like, I'm not, take me out of here. I'm not
Well,
doing
I'm
this.
on
maybe Kim can
TikTok,
tell us.
of
Kim
course.
can tell us.
Huh. Kim, are
I
you
love
on
it,
there?
to be honest. But I am on there. I'm on there for my actual, to promote my stuff and music and that type of thing because I use TikTok. I use YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram to put out the songs that I write, and then I just try to make videos along with the songs. Sometimes, sometimes I'm in them. So I do have one even with the cartoon face, which I find it funny.
Kim
But in
loves
terms of
that.
TikTok, I do. I'm like so opposite of you guys. I'm like I'm like I'm like if you two guys had a baby, I would be your baby. I'd be your 13-year-old baby. So you guys would be the parents, the grown-ups, and everything. I got on there because I did want to check it out because my
Hmm.
children of course are on there and
Right.
I wanted to see and we talk about it and that type of thing. So it is a point of conversation, but I have to admit I do love it. I do find it funny. However, I do what did I want to say? I do use it besides what I do for my little bit for my freelancing, I do use it purely for entertainment purposes. And I lay in bed and laugh and laugh. Now, some of it is disgusting. It's like all social media, right? You categorize it. Some of it's disgusting and I just swipe right by. Some of it is informative where I'll be like, whoa, a guy sued his wife for having an ugly face. Whoa, I use it for that. And some of it is just sometimes I need a break from my role as this person who's always trying to drive my business, always trying to, do this and this and this, and just to sit back and laugh. So it does give me these sort of benefits. However, I do have to watch myself because I can start suddenly, I've been 3 hours on TikTok, so I do have to watch myself.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that type of thing. But I find some of it so.
I think it can be a thin ice to skate on.
Definitely. Oh yeah. Oh, and I've fallen through many times, Katarina. fallen right through.
I mean, it's easy to fall.
But yeah. I say.
They're designed for that.
I've often gone down that rabbit hole.
That's
right. I'm the perfect.
Oh, did we lose her?
Oh, she froze.
Perfect demographic. Like I've looked up one recipe, like I'll look up for a recipe and suddenly I'm off, looking at, something on a Friends episode or whatever, it's like, right. All I want to do is really find one recipe, like to make for mashed potatoes or something, a new way to make mashed potatoes. And suddenly I'm like, 12 layers deep and,
I'm on YouTube.
Things, so.
YouTube and Pinterest are my two little social media.
Not on Pinterest.
I love Pinterest.
Yeah.
But Instagram doesn't like me, so they can stay on my shit list. They have
oh no.
Yeah, they blocked, they kicked me out 2 years ago on my Mikara Reid one, and then they told me I'm locked out for like 48 hours. And then I had to re-sign, I had to re-log on, and then now I have to, every time I log in, I have to do like a Google Authenticator thing on there. They said I violated community guidelines. And I'm just like, how am I violating when there's like sex workers and like other people on here, and I'm just posting like a picture of an item? Like, what's wrong with you guys? So any type of account that I create, they don't really push me through. Instagram doesn't like me. So I'm not even going to I'm gonna put stuff
Instagram
on.
Instagram doesn't like you, or you don't like Instagram.
I post. I post, but I ask people like, do you see my post? And they're like, no, you have to tell, like, we don't see it. And I'm just like, this is crazy. Yeah. So I post. I have 3 other accounts, and they still say they don't post it. They don't see it.
Yeah.
So
and a lot of that now is bot driven. Like
the Instagram.
Even all the social medias are bot driven. So if you get flagged, it's so hard to get out of that flagged because it's just a software program.
Oh yeah, that's what I said. Instagram.
I do all original songs. Whatever songs I write, whatever beats, whatever, it's all original for me. I got flagged on YouTube as a copyright claim. I thought someone thought that I stole their music, which I would never do. But I ended up reading about it, and then I ended up consulting someone, to be honest, later on, and they said, no, actually, with this sort of thing, Mikara, it's now all just software, because it's not like someone's sitting there going, oh, that music sounds like this music, now I'm going to copyright. And I was on probation, like what you said, for a month.
Oh,
and
wow.
It was really frustrating. Yeah, for a month. It was really frustrating because this was my own music. I had literally created it. And it just, of course, there's only certain melodies, certain, chords you can do and everything that music starts sounding the same. And this bot had copyright claimed. And then I was on probation for a month. It was really, really sucked because you can't do anything. Because, of course, nobody behind YouTube is like, oh, we're so worried, Kim.
They laid off half the people.
and your 12 followers, like,
Yeah, they laid off half their
so,
employees.
yeah, so,
Craziness.
And then the algorithms are also being updated all the time.
Yeah.
right. Oh,
Well,
yeah,
that's moral of the story. That's why you don't solely rely on social media. I don't.
that's
I'm
right.
out on these
Yeah,
streets.
yeah.
All right, we're gonna get into our nice little eavesdropper. Let me see if I can share my screen. Can you guys share sounds and make sure I do that? All right. All right. Hey, girl.
Hello, everyone.
When did you start validating yourself as a woman?
I would say when I broke up with my boyfriend when I was in my late 20s.
Oh, what was like the big realization? You don't have to go into full details, but like what was like the big realization?
That I wasn't allowing myself to be who I was. I was letting someone else identify me.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I loved it. And I
Yeah.
actually can really relate to it because, yeah, also for me, that as I told you, the big breakthrough came after the breakup, actually. So, yeah, definitely.
It's hard not to get absorbed by all these different roles. You get absorbed and then you start identifying with the role instead of self-identifying, self-validation, and really, yeah,
I
agreed.
think I think a lot of women seek for validation because that's what they saw a lot of the times, like from their mothers or from whoever their caregivers were. So it takes them a while to kind of just realize like you're the one that validates, not someone else. Because at the end of the day, you're the one that's going to be living with the happiness or the sadness. And maybe that eavesdropper realized that once that relationship was over, that she found her identity, she found what was happy for her, and kind of just moved forward with herself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so do you guys seek for any validation from anybody else at this point in your life?
Consciously or consciously not, but I'm sure there it's still there in the unconscious or subconscious level that I still, it's like the inner child that still needs to validate itself, even though I've been working on it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But they've been also working with me a lot on, on my, so my child's dad. So
Mm-hmm.
he, it was, yeah, I don't want to say it like ugly, but I was kind of brainwashed to just sum it up. And now I have to start, building up myself again. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm consciously working on it. Like, I don't care about other people's opinion, and which is also in the four agreements. Like, you don't, you know, and that there is no such thing as perfection. We can, when we always do our best, we can do excellent, but there is no really perfection. And that was also a huge realization for me, the difference between excellence and perfection.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I mean, other people, sometimes I'm in a mood like, you can say whatever you want and I don't care. But sometimes you will tell me something and then I don't show like I'm cool. And then when you're gone, I'm like, oh, and, and it actually happened the other day because I thought like, oh, I'm doing so good. I was so proud
Right.
of myself. And then like his dad came and he's like, oh, he hasn't even like came through the door and he's like, oh my gosh, you gained so much weight. I remember you looked like this when you were pregnant with Leo. And I'm like, oh really? Thank you. And but I was cool. And then when he was gone and my son was like, oh mommy, I see you're sad. Like, don't be sad. And that was actually so sweet of him because the exact same thing that I do to my son when he's sad, he came
Mm-hmm.
to me, mommy, I see you're sad and it's okay to be sad, but I don't like when you're sad, but I love you no matter what. And he gave me a hug and he gave me a
Oh,
kiss. And I was like, oh my gosh, like he's only 3 and he's so already, coping that it's just, yeah. So, but
make
it
good
reminded
sense.
me, yeah, like I don't I don't need to care about other people's opinion. I need to care about my opinion.
Right.
And I'm the one who's validating
Mhm.
me, but then also I'm my biggest critic. So yeah.
I think I look for comfortability within myself, make sure that like my surroundings or the situation is comfortable for me to, just to operate or be fulfilled or just to continue whatever I'm doing. I think that's what is coming a part of my self-validation at this point in time. If I'm not comfortable with something or something crosses the boundaries, then yeah, I don't really need your approval in regards to, if you want to continue being a part of my life or whatever the case may be. But I think that's what I look forward to, me making sure that I'm comfortable within.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
I,
boundaries
I
are really,
definitely feel that as well. Like, but I have to admit that I do try and find a little bit more of a balance. I am a strong believer in if you have a trusted counsel around you. Like I have very good friends who, because I have a lot of blind spots about myself, a lot of filters about myself, and they will be honest with me. But the validation comes from I have to trust that they love me, and I have to trust that they're safe and they're not doing this because they're jealous or because they're bored or it's a sport to them or whatever. That the validation comes from I have already validated that they can speak things into my life and I
Mhm.
will seriously consider it because I can be not a nice person, or I can be have a bad day or have a bad season or be very sad and
Mhm.
not be able to within myself pick myself to the point where I want to be, or I get off track with what I think I am, where I think I'm going. And these trusted friends, one of them is back in the States, and we talk quite a bit, and I trust her with everything. So in that way, the quote unquote validation comes from outside that I trust her so much. She'll say, that
but it's
doesn't sound
genuine.
like you, Kim. That doesn't sound like, you at all. What's really going on?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah, but then it's important that you identify and you're able to identify that it's really the feedback is genuine and it's not like you said based on their fears or jealousy or competition or something. So
yeah, true. Yeah.
So do you guys, this question just popped in my head. Do you guys validate your looks as women? Because beauty is a huge sector within the women being a woman. So do you guys validate your looks?
I
Well,
think
I
mostly I
definitely,
do.
oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. So for me, mostly I do. Sometimes I try not to,
Mhm.
um, but then I think so. There are days like I can tell, you look really good, and then there are days like, oh my gosh, I wish I had no mirrors in the. So yeah, I perceive and I'm aware that I'm like judging myself and validating myself in a sense, like, oh, how
Right.
beautiful or not I am. Because it affects my self-confidence, which shouldn't come from outer beauty. I'm a firm believer that it should come from within and other qualities.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes I fall in the trap and I admit it, so yeah, that's the first step. I think we have to be aware of something, because if we're not, we can't even work on it.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, I definitely, the looks thing is a really separate category for me. I grew up in the 70s and 80s in middle America as an Asian woman or as an Asian girl. So I always looked different than everybody else. I had a round face, I had slanted eyes, I had full lips, I was short, I was more feminine, more feminine than I am now. I was smaller, slimmer, and I grew up in Iowa, where more people in general, they were taller, they were bigger, blonde hair, blue-eyed. Um, so looks are a really sensitive topic for me.
Mhm.
Of course, over the years, I've had to evolve and grow out of understanding what looks and beauty really truly means to me. There was a long time where I completely never identified as being Asian, even though, of course, hello, so that was an interesting chapter in my life. But a lot of it was because in the US, when you grow up, I was adopted.
Mhm.
In the US, when you grow up and you come from another country, most people could maintain that cultural identity. But I
Mhm.
never had that because I was adopted. I never had the Korean culture. So I was raised with this kind of white mentality. I
Mhm.
have my mom's Italian, my dad is Scottish, and I never was able to sink my teeth into being Korean.
Okay.
But the most Korean thing about me was quote unquote just DNA. I
Mhm.
didn't have the advantage that some people have in childhood when they're adopted. The parents are aware. My parents are fine on their own. I don't mean to disparage them. I don't mean it that way, but now we're understanding. We're evolved more in understanding when you're adopted there
Mhm.
has to be something that the child can relate to.
Yeah.
When you look completely different than your classmates, and of course, even now, to be honest, people immediately start talking Korean to me. Well, no, let me say this. They immediately start talking Japanese to me or
Oh
Chinese to
my
me. And I have to go through the several layers of, well, first of all, I'm not even Japanese or Chinese.
God.
Second of all, I have no Korean culture. I cannot speak at all. I can only say kimchi, which I do like. But for the longest time, it even
That's great.
affected which restaurants I would go to. I never ever wanted to go to Asian restaurants. Now I love Asian food, but if it's hard to imagine basing your decisions as simple as a restaurant to go to because I felt so uncomfortable being the Asian in the restaurant, if
Mhm.
that makes sense. I much rather
Yes.
go to Italian. I related to the Italian culture. My mom's family is very Italian or Scottish, not so much close there, but at least it was quote unquote white America because that's how I grew up, and it was very very hard. So I'm really passionate about this idea, especially in the US,
Mhm.
but it's everywhere of course, but especially in the US, um, about really finding beauty, getting back to that topic, in the fact that you truly are beautiful with where you come from and not trying to make everybody the same. And in the 70s and 80s, that's what it was in the US. Everybody has to be the same. And I say this not equal.
Mhm.
That's a totally different subject, but I'm just saying the same. Everybody has to look like you're not American if
Right.
you don't look a certain way, act a certain way. If someone comes from India and they wear the beautiful beautiful colors and this gorgeous dark hair, and then you know if they don't look American, then they're the outcast. And as a child and through teenage years, that and a woman growing up, that really affected um my idea of what beauty truly is. Now I can be in a group of Asians and not feel this kind of tension. But I mean, truly, it took me a long time to get there. And it still triggers me to
Mhm.
this day. I love Asian food. I'll go, and most of the time, okay. But there are some times where I start feeling uncomfortable, and I
Yeah.
know I'm being triggered by all the stuff that went on. Everybody's made fun of. I understand that in childhood. So I'm not saying I didn't deserve to be made fun of. I don't mean that. But the extra layer of being
Brought
considered
up by another
and not
phenotypical
being
parent.
exactly, and not being part of the land you're living in. It's really something that gets me. Oh, oh,
Hi,
he's
nice
sweet.
to hear.
Yeah.
Um, I'm trying to think. It took a while for me to validate my look. Um, yeah, I've always been teased. I've been called dirty skin by non-black people. I've been called ugly a lot as a child. I've been brought up by a very mixed town. It's called Piscataway, New Jersey. So that kind of just ate away at my spirit as a child in a lot of my teenage years. I was very skinny for a black girl, so a lot of people thought I was just, yeah, they're just kids are just kids. They're very mean. I went through a period where I was in the modeling agency and I still didn't feel beautiful enough, even though that industry just will nitpick you to death. If you guys feel ugly now in the regular world, like when you go to these little casting calls, they like nitpick you to the finest comb. Yeah, it just took a lot of soul searching. I think me just living away and just kind of hearing my thoughts and just getting the reactions from real life people that I felt relatable to, or just random people that I was meeting along my travels, along me just living. But I think when I started getting into serious relationships from men that I appreciated with or I saw a future with, I think that's when I started validating my look because, of course, I want to use my looks to attract men. I'm not one of those females who say, I only want to be friends with pretty girls. I was never like that. I don't care who you are, what you are. I've always brought friends from every ethnicity, from Asian to Muslim, any type of religion or whatever. I don't care what you are. I will talk to you. It's whatever. But I think I started validating my look around 25-ish.
25-ish, you said?
Yes.
Yeah. And now that we are talking about the skin colors and everything,
Hmm.
before my son was born, my dad brought this up to me. He's like, "Oh, do you want your son to be discriminated because his dad is a dark skin?"
Hmm.
And I'm like, no, like, well, I think mixed babies are the most beautiful babies. Like,
Hmm.
why would he be discriminated? And then I said, well, I was discriminated too because I'm Hungarian, but I was born in Slovakia and there were tensions, so
Hmm.
they would discriminate me. And he was like, yeah, but if you keep your mouth shut, nobody knows. But if they look at him, they will know immediately.
Yeah.
And probably like 2 weeks ago, he asks me like, "Mommy, um, you are white, but then daddy's skin is not white, it's dark." And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, so what's my skin? And I'm like, yeah, and I'm explained to him, it's just a mixture of mommy and daddy. And that your skin is beautiful and every skin is beautiful, every skin type. It's not. And I like that actually in school it's really a mixed. They have like
Yeah.
all cultures, and this is something that I don't see in Europe, where I'm from, especially in Slovakia. It's everybody's the same. Everybody's just white people, and my cousins haven't even seen a black person in real life until I brought Leo's dad in. So that's how like rigid the culture is. And I like it here that that children don't even think about like, oh, they're Asian or they're black or they're white. It's just so natural.
Hmm.
Whereas in Slovakia, they would be like, oh wow, they're so different.
Yeah.
And here it's just it blends in. No, sweetheart, thank you.
I would be very terrified to have that's one of the scary things. I don't want to have that conversation because of both of a little bit of both of your stories. I'm scared to have the conversation with my child because I don't know that lifestyle. Like I don't know the issues that go on as a mixed child. I don't know the discriminations that you guys have. I wouldn't know how to answer. And then again, like when they grow up, they're gonna think back about those moments and then start having like triggering moments, like how Kim's having, because she doesn't, because maybe someday like they don't feel black enough, or they don't feel white enough, or they don't feel whatever my partner is, like they don't feel enough of it because they're mixed. I don't know. I just don't really feel comfortable being a parent of a mixed child, because those conversations, I'm just like, I don't have the answer. And I'm just now getting it together as a Black woman in America. That is enough in itself. So, a mixed child, I mean, I know it's like becoming the norm in America right now, but like they still go through stuff because I have two cousins, they're mixed, but one looks like she's from Portugal and another one looks like a light skinned Black person. So, but they still have the issues, like I stated, like they still have these psychological warfares within their minds. They don't feel Black enough. They don't feel white enough. They get picked on. Women just kind of just scoff at them because one of them is very beautiful, like she's very beautiful, and another one, I don't know. I don't have some of those issues, so I would like to protect my child as much as possible. So I wouldn't know how to even have those conversations. I'm just like, whew, congrats to you, Katarina.
Thank
But
you.
I don't know. I think about stuff like that. I want to be able to protect my child as much as possible and have moved them in the greatest path. But yeah, that interracial discussion is, yeah, I don't know. I'm not in that lifestyle. I don't know.
Yeah, it can be interesting sometimes. Yeah.
And it'll get more and more interesting as he grows up, gets, older, classmates, and then dating
Questions,
and dating
social
from
media.
the
Oh,
parents,
now he
social
started.
media filters, and dating
Yeah.
from the parents side, from the his date's parents side. So
And their
you're
validation
building a
is
good
going to be different.
foundation now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
we're
their
completely
validations.
opposite cultures with his dad. So he's, yeah, it's one extreme and the other extreme, I think. But then he was born in the middle, right in the middle. So yeah.
Yeah, they're
Katerina, are your parents still in Slovakia or are they in the
Everybody, all
US?
my family is still in Slovakia. I'm the only one who's in a foreign country. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
So
interesting. Oh man, all right. So do you guys want to cheers to anything?
yeah, I would like to
Cheers to
cheers with my water. I have a glass of water still. To women to have the courage and to validate ourselves and with grace and yeah, to feel comfortable in our own skin and with our own qualities and of course striving for better every day
Mhm.
compared to what we were yesterday, not what others are or saying.
yeah.
Yes. I would
I
like to
went to
cheers. Oh,
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I would like to cheers to Happy Women's History Month.
Oh yeah, and Women's
Yes.
Day is actually coming up in 4 days. 4 days.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
And I would like to cheers to just women pushing through. We are all super women.
Yeah.
And I think we are amazing at the role that we have and just prospering through it and just coming together as a community. Whether we know each other or we don't know each other, we still have help each other out in an immediate need or long-term need.
I would like to cheers toward the fact that even just with the three of us, we have such very different lives, past, present, and future even too. We're at different statuses. We're at different points in our lives. But women, and I feel like we're an example of this, can always find just a really common bond to have these meaningful conversations. We don't have to play the same sports. We don't have to live in the same town. We don't have to have the same background or even the same skin color or even the same experiences. But we can sit down and in a matter of a few seconds, start really diving deep, and talk about growing even in this time. I feel like I've definitely put a little bit of water into my soil to be able to grow. So I would like to cheers to that.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
cheers. Click, click.
He's looking like, what are y'all doing? Don't worry, you'll get here later.
Yeah.
All right. This is another episode of A Girl and Kim. We have Kim,
Yay.
Katarina, of course, me, Mikara. Thanks for tuning in. I'll check you guys out later. Bye.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Bye, Angela.
Bye.
Bye.